بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. So what we covered in the previous lesson were the unique aspects of the Quran, the noble Quran, and we said that Quran has attributes, has many attributes. It's from them is that it gives glad tidings, it guides. Also, it's the intercessor, the one that intercedes. So Quran intercedes for those who read it. Also, what we covered was the difference between the one who recites the Quran and the one who is the companion of the Quran. And we said that the reciter of the Quran is everyone who reads the Quran. Apparently, in terms of articulation and pronunciation, in such that he can hear himself, whether it's read with tajweed or without tajweed, or with in a beautiful voice or not. So this is somebody who's referred to as reciter of the Quran. As for the companions of Quran, he is the one who has three conditions, as some of the ulama have said. From these conditions is that he is consistent in his recitation of the Quran and in his memorization of the Quran. Meaning he memorizes the Quran and he's consistent in recitation of the Quran. Secondly, that he acts upon what the Quran is telling him. So the Quran has guidances and warnings and recommendations and counsels. So he should recite it, and he should memorize it, and he should act upon it, implement it, and he should ponder and reflect on its meanings. So if he has these three qualities, then he is from the companions of the Quran. And it's said about them, uh, uh, recite and ascend when they will enter paradise. It will be said to them, recite if he is saved from the judgment, from the scales, from the bridge. Then he doesn't have nothing left except he to enter the paradise. So that moment, the believer, when he enters or stands before the door of paradise, he doesn't know where his place is in paradise. You don't know. You're a guest. You've come from this world to the completely different world. So when you reach, may Allah gather us all in paradise together in the highest places. So when the believer comes to paradise, he's received by angels, and the angels take him to his place in his station in paradise. They greet him and they welcome him and they take him. So they say to him, this is your place, this is your station. You have been good and stay here, and you can be here for eternity. So then they enter. As for the companion of the Quran, the angel says to them, recite, keep reciting, and you'll keep ascending. So that, and your station will be at the last verse that you recite. So the apparent meaning of the hadith is that he would ascend with every verse. So he recites and recites. Whatever station he reaches, the angels receive him. And angels are the paradise is stations that have no ending. So the more he recites, the more he ascends. Your place is not here, go higher and higher. If you memorize, then carry on reciting. So he recites and recites, and he ascends and ascends. Every station he reaches, the angels tell him, keep reading and you'll keep ascending. So this is a great station, and is an immense station, and it's honor, and it's like a crown on the person's head. How can a person delay and if he be lazy when it comes to achieving this reward? you will ascend with the Quran. This is a big station. May Allah make us from the people of Quran, those who are the people of Allah and His elite. So this was the summary of the previous lesson. So but today Imam al-Ghazali, may Allah mercy on him, is giving us something called referred to etiquettes. So before we mention these etiquettes, we need to know what is meant by adab, and what is the what makes you have adab, and what are the different types of adab. Adab or etiquette, it means your spiritual wayfaring, your 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 spiritual wayfaring towards Allah Azza wa Jal in the state of humility and servitude. So if it is said that adab means adab of the slave before his lord, or because every quality has his etiquette. So for instance, if you're a child, if you're a child, that means there are etiquettes to be and how to be with the parents. If you are an employee, then there's some etiquettes you need to have with your manager. If you are a wife, then there are etiquettes that you need to have with your husband. If you're a student, then there are etiquettes that a student has with his teachers. So for this reason, the foundation of these etiquettes is basically to have etiquettes as a slave before your Lord. Also, there is punishment. And this punishment has one reason only, and this is a great reason, and that's called bad etiquettes. So it is said the punishment of bad etiquettes is deprivation. You're deprived. The punishment of having bad etiquettes is to be deprived. Now notice here they say the punishment of bad etiquettes. They didn't say the punishment will be entering hellfire or they'll get severe punishment. Why? Because these are inward etiquettes. So for this reason, just as these are just as etiquettes are inward, the punishment is also inward, and this is actually the most severest form of punishment, that you be deprived from. So because when they say bad etiquettes leads to deprivation or being prevented, what, for instance, I'll give you an example. If you cannot be present in prayer, the reason is bad etiquettes. So look for the bad etiquettes. Where do you have the bad manners? Sin itself is bad manners because you disobeyed Allah's commandment. But as we said, there are other direct reasons that cause you to be deprived or prevented from attaining this rank. So what we could say, what is the benefit of having good manners? If I had good manners, what will I get? What will I achieve if I was somebody with good manners? If you say student, if you say this is a student, he's very smart, but he has no manners, and there's another student, he has good manners, but he's not very smart. Who is more beloved to the teacher? There are many people who are smart, but with bad manners, and the teacher doesn't like them. So obviously the teacher would like somebody who has good manners. So the way one achieves the general form, so the main benefit one gets from having good manners is that you are now ready to receive divine waridat. What is waridat? Waridat is a type of rizq, but of the heart. As we said in the last lesson, that there's rizq for your body and then there's rizq for your spirit. So the rizq of the body is from this earth. But even uh, even though rain is part of rain comes down on the earth, but it's actually the earth that sprouts the fruits and vegetables. So the risk of the heavens is the risk of the spirit. So so good manners is the greatest reason, or the main reason you can get these waridat. These also waridat is the main reason, or the greatest means for the door to open, the spiritual door to open. So any door that you wish for, that you wish to be open, your etiquettes will your good manners will make you be accepted. Your good manners will make you be chosen. What does it mean that Allah chooses you? He gives you something that is specific or unique just for you because you are somebody of good manners. Also, from the also, if you have good manners, you attain closeness. Allah will draw you close to Him, and He cannot bring close. He will not bring somebody who has bad manners close to Him. And also, the one who has good manners, he attains secrets of the malakut, the celestial realm, which basically uh, draws him to the closest ranks with Allah. And it is not possible to give your secret to somebody who has bad manners. So this is why we need to know that all these different forms of worship have secrets. The creation itself has secrets. The decree of Allah has secrets. The prayer has secrets. Every movement in prayer has a secret. Raising your hands to say Allah Akbar has a secret. To raise your finger when you say tashahhud has a secret. Facing the Qibla has a secret. People have many questions. They ask why and why and why. Why do we go around the Kaaba? Why do we stand at Arafat? Why do we pray? Why do we make wudu? Why do we take a shower from major ritual impurity? There are many questions people have. All these questions, you'll get your response, you'll get your answer with your good manners. If you have good manners, Allah will give you all the secrets. So whoever has bad manners, he will be deprived of all of this. No waridat, no selection, no witnessing, no closeness, no secrets. And the doors will not open, the spiritual doors will not open for him. Look at all this deprivation. He's deprived of acceptance. He's deprived of attaining secrets of the celestial realm. So he keeps getting deprived of things. So may Allah not deprive us of these things despite our bad manners with Allah and the Prophet and the righteous. Also, before we mention the etiquettes, the outward etiquettes, the reality of etiquettes or good manners is of three types. Habib will give us these three types of manners, and he'll give practical examples for each. So pay attention, and Habib will try to make it simple. But the reality is that the meaning is very big. But despite our state and our limited knowledge and our iman being weak, we so adab or manners is of three types. There's the adab of Sharia, or manners of Sharia. There's manners of the tariqah, the spiritual path. And there's manners of haqiqah, which is the reality. So Habib is not mentioning these terms uh, I said, okay, what do we mean by adab of Sharia? If I give you a definition, it may not be understood. So Habib will not give the definition. He'll give a meaning by drawing an example so that you understand. So the example here is, let's give an example. Uh, uh, give us an example by mentioning the adab of a type of worship, and let's use the worship. Uh, uh, let's mention the thing that we're discussing today, which is recitation of Quran. So recitation of Quran needs these three types of manners as well: the adab of Sharia, the adab of Tariqah, and the adab of Hakika in recitation of Quran. So what is the adab of Sharia in recitation of Quran? It is whatever that 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 has come to you from the Prophet ﷺ in what is referred to as ilm of fiqh. Like fiqh tells you can only read Quran when you have wudu, as in you can only touch Quran, and don't recite Quran unless you're facing the Qibla. Uh, uh, Read Quran if and you have perfume on. So we're not talking about what is obligatory. We're talking about what is recommended. You can read Quran without facing the Qibla. We're not talking about what is wajib. We're talking about what is sorry. We're talking about what is wajib and recommended. So the what is wajib is that you recite in wudu, uh, and whoever recites, uh, it's recommended to recite Quran with wudu. If you recite Quran without wudu, you have bad manners, and if you hold the Quran without wudu, you have bad manners, and you are deprived of the reward and also the openings in the Quran. And the explanation of this will come more in details in this book. So in summary, we said the, the etiquettes of reciting the Quran is to recite it how it's come to us from the Prophet in wudu, facing the Qibla, etc. And then is the second type of adab is to have adab of tariqah. What is the adab of tariqah? Is to recite it sincerely for the sake of Allah. So whoever recites Quran in wudu, facing Qibla, with perfume, with siwak, and holding the mushaf, and he's reciting it beautifully, and he's doing everything amazing, but he recited it showing off. He recited it so that people say, MashaAllah, so and so has such a beautiful voice, so and so has an amazing voice. So so in this case, we will say he has bad manners when it comes to manners of tariqah, even though he came with the manners of Sharia. So you're doing this form of worship, in the end, you're seeking other than Allah. So that makes you somebody of bad manners when it comes to tariqah. The third type, which is the adab of haqiqah, is that you recite it and you're witnessing Allah as if you're reciting to Him. As if you're reciting it to Allah, as if Allah is speaking to you. This is this is like the most summarized version of what it means by adab. So every one of us, we recite Quran in a beautiful way. So so measure yourself with these three scales. Did you recite Quran in these three scales, with the adab of Sharia and the adab of Tariqah? Some people say, I just do wudu, and he recites Quran reclining and reciting, and even though it's permissible, we're not talking about permissibility, we're talking about manners. It's true, the Prophet ﷺ did recite the Quran while he was reclining on the lap of Sayyidina Aisha. He did, but there was for three reasons. One reason was to make her happy, because because Sayyidina Aisha heard that when a woman is in her menstrual cycle, that she is like impure, and the husband cannot even come close to her, cannot eat with her, cannot be even in the same room. They have to be outside the house. So the Prophet ﷺ wanted to break this habit. So he recited the Quran while having his blessed head on her lap, reciting the Quran. Also, second reason was to show that this is permissible, because there is no doubt uh, people are in difficult situations. Sometimes they're sick and they're ill and they cannot sit and face the Qibla. So he did this to make it permissible. The third reason, so that you be from those people who are mentioned in the Quran as those who remember Allah standing, sitting, and reclining. So you take your portion from being of those people who recite Quran while reclining. Now, what is reprehensible is that somebody he only reads the Quran reclining, meaning whenever he recites the Quran, he's reclining. Even in the mosque, there's some people, even in the mosque, they're reclining. In the house, they're reclining. So when do you recite facing the Qibla? So here here the person is reproached. So the Prophet ﷺ did not read the Quran uh, always reclining. It was only in rare situations. So the best way to recite the Quran with perfect manners, or all manners, outwardly and inwardly, in Sharia and Tariqah and Haqiqah, is to recite the Quran while you're in prayer. Then you basically unite or all types of adab. You're in, how is that? Because you're wudu, you're in prayer, you're facing the Qibla, you're in your humble state, you're not moving, you're not looking here and there, and you're in the best state with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah that He grants us this with ease and well-being. So we'll recite. Uh, so the first etiquette is to recite it with exaltation. Then he explains what it means by this is the first etiquette, first outward manner, is to recite it with respect and exaltation. And you know yourself. How do you recite Quran with manners and exaltation? Any apparent form that looks like it's bad manners, then that means you're reciting with bad manners. Any form that looks bad or looks something that is not presentable. So somebody recites the Quran and he leaves a sunnah from the sunnah of recitation of the Quran, that means he's not respecting the Quran, or he has deficiency in exalting the Quran. And we'll mention what are the sunnahs of reciting the Quran. So the sunnahs of the recitation is the adab of Sharia. And in sunnah is includes the wajib as well, as to recite the Quran while you're in wudu, that you're facing the Qibla, that you're still, you're not moving. No, they're not like you're a statue, but you're not moving like a child. Like how a child is always moving and restless. You're still, because this will help you in pondering and reflecting and over the meanings. Also, you recited uh, 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 leaning forward, with your head lowered. So you don't recite while you're looking up here and there. So this is why we're prohibited, that when we pray, while we pray, we look at the sky. When you're praying and when you're reciting the Quran, you don't look at the sky. You look at the place of where your forehead comes when you prostrate. So you lower your head, like this, as to ponder over the meanings, to also uh, to as if you're saying, I am at your service. I'm ready to implement this Quran, because recitation of the Quran facing the Qibla, it helps you understand the Quran. It helps you. It eases you understanding the secrets of the Quran, because this is one of the secrets of facing the Qibla. From some of the secrets of facing the Qibla is that it makes it easy for you to understand and attain spiritual openings, and also for the presence of angels. Also, not to be reclining, meaning not to, and by reclining we mean like how the arrogant people recline on thrones. The how the arrogant and of course we're talking about people who are doing it without a need. But if there's an old person who cannot do it, we're not, this does not refer to such people. So so you make so from the recitations of Quran that you do, you make one portion of it like this, in this humble form. So when you get tired, then you can do the other forms, like you can recline, um, and you only recline because it's permissible, but not out of bad manners before Allah Ta'ala. and and not to recite while you're lying down as if you're asleep, if we're going to sleep, because this obviously is contrary to manners of reciting the Quran. But also this doesn't mean you don't read the Quran that you're supposed to read before going to bed, like Ayatul Kursi and the Quls, because it is come to us through the tradition that we're supposed to read these verses while going to sleep, reclining. And then it says you recite it properly with tartil. This recitation is what differentiates normal conversation or normal speaking with with speech of God. Like when you speak normally to when you speak to people, there's no tartil. There, there's no uh, so recitation or words of Allah should not be said how you speak to people. It needs to be read in a special manner. So when you speak to a person, you don't sing, "How are you?" So when you speak to your friends, your family, you uh, but some people when they're reciting Quran, they're reciting the Quran as if they speak to their friends, like how Habib's reading it right now. No, this is not how you're supposed to read it. It's as if you're not even reading from the Quran. So you have been commanded to recite the Quran with tartil. Allah says in the Quran, uh, tartil. So to recite it in a measured way, in a rhythmic manner, with proper pronunciation, articulation, and rules, ensuring clarity and beauty in recitation. So when you recite Quran, you do it with tartil, and this is a form of worship that uh, that 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 angels. We know angels glorify Allah and praise Allah, but we don't know if angels read the Quran, recite the Quran. It hasn't been come to us in tradition. This is why the angels loves to hear people reciting the Quran. So when the angels hear any servant of Allah, any slave of Allah reciting the Quran, whether you're in your at your home or at the mosque or the marketplace, and so the angels who are traveling around the world looking for the circles of dhikr or recitation of the Quran, you'll see them as if they are flying around the earth, like how if birds do. So, but the angels are in the on the higher celestial realm, not in the worldly realm. So when you recite Quran, the angels start coming, and the closest angel to you, he, he that angel is the one who that angel uh, will invite the other angels. They will say, "Come here. I found what you're looking. I found what you're looking for." Imagine the angels going around the city, looking for people doing dhikr of Allah or reciting the Quran, especially in the last parts of the night. They're looking for these people, and so they'll come and might find this person asleep, or this person busy on Twitter, and this person is busy on TikTok, and this person is busy on Google, and this person is busy on YouTube, and this person is busy on Instagram. So he doesn't know what's happening. May Allah protect us from these things. So when you recite the Quran, this is why we say do the tartil without putting excessive effort to the point where uh, you recite with that rhythm that Allah has given you. You If Allah hasn't given you, let's say, a beautiful voice, that doesn't mean your voice is bad. At the end of the day, you're a human. You're not an animal. Don't say that your voice is bad. Every human has his own rhythm and he has his own voice. What is required of you is to try a little bit to make it beautiful without going over the top. So when you adorn this recitation, the angels like this recitation, and they write this beautiful. They like this way of reciting, and they like it when you're reciting it with manners. You could be reciting the Quran with your legs sticking out, just relaxing. I'm not saying this is impermissible, but the angels, they won't come to you if you're sitting like this, because the greatest quality of the angels is manners. So the angels love to see you with good manners. When you see how Allah praised the angels, He praised them with two qualities. He praised them for not disobeying Allah one iota, and He praised them they don't overspeak or speak over, as in, or sorry, they don't speak except they've been given permission to speak. This is the manners that they have, and they do whatever they've been told to do. Allah praised the angels and Jibreel alayhi salam that on that day the Jibreel and the angels will stand in one line without any movement, without any words, without any speech, except uh, Allah will allow them to speak, and Allah will say what you said is true. They won't move one bit, and they won't say one word. This is the manners that they will have. So if you want angels to come to you and listen to you, then you should have the adab of Sharia and the adab of tariqah as much as you can. So the angels will come to listen to you, and you don't know from where this angel will come. This angel will come from the Sidratul Muntaha, the furthest low tree, or this angel will come from the seventh heaven, and this angel will come from the tablets, the preserved tablets, the Lawh al-Mahfuz, or this angel would come from the worldly realm, or this, and they would all come from different places, and they'll come and listen to you, to listen to your recitation of the Quran. And angels, when they listen to you, they then love you, and they see you with good manners, they'll love you more. So angels love the one who has great manners and good manners with Allah Azza wa Jal, because they themselves have great manners with Allah Azza wa Jal. So, so how great would be for you to have the company of angels, the noble angels. So he says, to recite the Quran with tartil. What does it mean by tartil? Is to recite with tajweed, and with a good voice, without like going over the top in your tajweed or in making your voice beautiful. What is natural to you? Like for instance, if you recite like how Habib's reciting,
لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. ما شاء الله تلاوة هذه.
this is simple way of recitation without putting extra effort, without putting too much uh, pressure on yourself. This is the correct way. And tafkhim, what does it mean by tafkhim? Tafkhim, when you read the attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal. Like for instance, if you read the words of Allah Azza wa Jal,
لمن الملك اليوم لله لله الواحد القهار.
like when the verse says, to whom belongs the dominion of this day, and then Habib said Lillah, and he as if he puts a weight behind the names of Allah and the attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal. Or when Allah Azza wa Jal says,
ألم يعلم بأن الله يرى. وأيضا قالوا
like when they say, do you not know that Allah sees? So when he said the word see, he emphasized on it. So also,
يعني ما تقول مثلا الله.
so for instance, you won't say Allah, you'll say Allah, Allah instead of Allah, right? Like Allahu Akbar. You don't say Allahu Akbar. At this point you make it more weighty. This is why Allah Azza wa Jal has ordered us in Surah Al-Araf that when you remember him with humility and adab and fear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, remember me within you, or by when you're by yourself, with humility and this, and if you remember Allah in this way, it's a way of waking up your heart. If you recite the Quran with this, with adding, putting weight to the points where Allah's name is mentioned, then it wakes up the heart. It gives life to the heart. Even though it is permissible for you to say, it's permissible for you to say "Qul huwallahu ahadun lillahu samad," like where you're joining all the verses. It's permissible, but tafkhim, meaning adding weight, uh, is to say "Qul huwallahu ahad" and to stop at every verse, and you put emphasis Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad. So the Prophet ﷺ used to read one verse, would recite each verse separately. Of course, when people are, like for instance, teaching or reciting in Taraweeh or Qiyam al-Layl, at that time, they are recommended to read slightly quickly. And then he says not to recite hastily, even though it's correct. If you recite the Quran with tajweed, um, and you're reading it quickly, it's correct and it's permissible for people who are hafaz of Quran, and they're doing it for revision because it helps them revise quickly. It says without doing hadrama, and hadrama means to, as if you're eating away the letters from here and there. You're not pronouncing them properly. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, the meaning of which was that for me to read the surah Zalzala, which is إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا, with proper manners and stillness and presence of mind, and reflect on its meaning, reflect on its meaning, is better for me than to recite all of Surah Baqarah and Surah Al Imran quickly.
كان له بكل حرف 100 حسنة، ومن قرأ القرآن وهو قاعد في الصلاة كان له بكل حرف 50 حسنة، ومن قرأ القرآن في غير صلاة وهو على وضوء ف25 حسنة، ومن قرأ القرآن على غير وضوء ف10 حسنات.
يقول
So he says that second a good manner, or second manner that you should have, which is from the adab of Sharia, is to have a portion of your recitation be done in specific times, so that you attain the greatest benefits, and it said the best way to recite the Quran, to attain the highest the most benefit is to recite it while you're praying, especially in the mosque. So if you're in the mosque, let's say you're doing Qiyamul Layl or some of your voluntary prayers, and you're doing it in the mosque, then you unite you basically join or combine the benefit of the time and the benefit of the place. So the night time, the benefit is the stillness, and the benefit of the mosque is the place, the blessing of the mosque itself. So obviously, this is not really possible in this day and age where mosques are closed. If it's so, if it's possible, then that's fine. If it's not, then praying at home in the middle of the night, it's asked why has Allah made the night still? He said for two reasons, one outward, one inward. The one reason is so that you sleep at ease, so that, and this is for the people of the dunya, and this is also a great blessing. You cannot sleep if there is like disturbances or turmoil. And the second reason is for the people who pray in the night. So he has made the night still so that you stand up and pray. Most of the animals also sleep in the night. So and at that time people they're, they're, most animals are asleep at the night, but except for some exceptions which are far away in the deserts or in the forests. So basically, the stillness is for you to have that seclusion with Allah Ta'ala. So you should have a daily litany or a litany of reciting the Quran in the night while in prayer. So if it's in the mosque, then it's even better. So the righteous early Muslims, they would live next to the mosque so that they don't feel lazy when it comes to going. They know it's from door to door. And we know some of the old houses in the old Muslim cities, you find that the mosque, the house would actually be would its walls would touch the walls of the mosque. And some of them in Tarim, what would they do? If they don't find a mosque, if they don't have a mosque near their house, they would make a mosque. They would build a mosque. Even if that mosque is big enough for a few people or two people. You find a lot of small mosques in Tarim connected to a house, so that most of his time would be sitting in the mosque, where he would be praying and doing i'tikaf. That also doesn't mean that they would be falling short in fulfilling the rights of their family. They were the best people in organizing their time. So how do we find people today? People nowadays don't care where they live, whether there's a mosque there or not. The most important thing would be that the house should be beautiful and nice, and it has all the. It's rare to find a Muslim. It's rare to find Muslims, unfortunately, concerned about this. The least one should think about is at least have a mosque nearby, so that if you have to go, you can go in your car. It's still good to have a mosque near your house. It's like it's a safety measure for you. So this is why it is, especially for the men, you don't be deprived of this reward. Women are not. Women cannot do this. They come out of their house in the middle of the night to go pray in the mosque. It's not possible, except if they're in the haram, that they can leave and go to the haram in the night. But in all other cities, it's impossible, or not. It might be impossible to do this. So, but you as a man, what's your excuse? And there are many women and mothers. Uh, they say to their sons or their husbands, I wish I was a man, so wouldn't be deprived of this reward, because it's great reward to walk to the mosque. We said in our previous lessons that walking to the mosque, is a worship of the body, complete body. Is a type of worship by which you could draw close to Allah using the entirety of your body. The Prophet ﷺ said that there is something by which Allah raises your ranks. Basically, the steps that you take to the mosque, and also waiting for prayer to come. So how can you have more steps to the mosque? Is by going to the mosque for all the 5 prayers. If you have been given the opportunity to go and pray all the prayers in the mosque, then that's a means for you to ascend in ranks in paradise, going and coming back 5 times a day. Imagine how many ranks and stations you ascend every single day, every single week, every single month, and every single year. Whether you walk to it or you drive to it, it's the same thing. So this is a great reward. It's as if it's a type of reward that's specifically for the men. As for the woman, does she say, am I deprived of this reward? If she is true in her intention, she will even get the reward. Also, if she encourages her husband and son to go, she gets the reward of it. So if they don't listen to her, she still gets the reward as if they went. This is from Allah's great benevolence. So how lucky a woman is that she gets the reward of every single step that goes that every single step that is taken to the mosque, even though she may have never gone to the mosque herself, by simply encouraging the sons in her family, her husband, to go to the mosque. And there might be some men who would say, I wish I was a woman, that I would not. There's some men who unfortunately say, I wish I was a woman, that I wouldn't have to go and pray in the mosque. I could just relax. You're a man. You want to be somebody who doesn't take on the responsibility. This is such a ill-mannered thing to say, as if one is saying, "Oh Allah, why have you made me chosen this for me?" A'udhu billah. So we ask Allah that He grants us good of this world and the hereafter. So make a portion of your recitation of the Quran be in the middle of the night in prayer, and make another portion while you're. You can do other recitations while you're driving, or while you're walking, or while you're sitting, but have one portion where you're in prayer and reciting. And the Prophet ﷺ informed us that whoever recites 10 verses in the night, or in another narration 30 verses, he won't be written off as a heedless person. He won't be considered a heedless person. So whoever recites 10 verses, he won't be considered from the heedless people. So if you prayed 2 rak'ats in the night, and in those 2 rak'ats you recited 10 verses, excluding Fatiha. Fatiha itself is 7 verses, and you read Ikhlas with it, that's enough. But let's say you recited 10 verses besides Surah Al-Fatiha. So there's one surah, it's from the short surahs, which is basically 11 verses. What is this surah? There's one chapter of the Quran that has 11 verses. Who knows? There are 2 verses. Surah Al-Adiyat and Surah Al-Qari'ah. So if you were to pray Surah Al-Adiyat, and is there anyone who hasn't memorized this? Surah Al-Qari'ah is also 11 verses. Is there anyone who hasn't memorized this? Even the kids have memorized this. If you were to pray 2 rakats after Isha, in the first verse you read Surah Al-Adiyah, that alone is 11 verses. You won't be written as those who are heedless. And just by the first rak'ah, you can read Surah Al-Adiyah. You can split it into two rak'ahs. I don't think anyone does that they split the short surahs into 2 rak'ahs. But let's hypothetically think you do that. You split your Surah Adiyat in 2 rak'ahs. And so you still would be considered as those who stood the night reading or reciting 10 verses of the Quran. So you won't be considered those who are heedless. You will not be written off as a heedless person. This is from the blessings of the Prophet ﷺ, who made it easy for us. He made things easy for us. So let not or don't let yourself be deprived of this reward. Surah Al-Amma is 40 verses. If you read that in 3 nights, it's as if you would not be considered those who are heedless. We ask Allah that just as He has enabled or granted grace to those who have been the righteous, He grants us the same grace. Oh Allah, bless our times and our states, in what we're learning, in all of our outward and inward affairs. Al-Fatiha. Allahumma salli wa sallim barik Al-Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
الأخ محمد وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاكم الله خير. آمين. أخت بهية. الأخت مفيدة وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاكم الله خير كذلك أنتم. تحفيظ القرآن وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. وين عم طالب وأفرحكم الله كما أفرحتمونا بحضور هذا المجلس الله يجزيكم خير. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. الأخت زبيدة: هل نحاسب إن لم يثبت القرآن في صدورنا ونقرأ سوى قصار السور؟
The questioners ask, will we be judged if we didn't memorize the Quran besides the small surahs? Memorizing the Quran is a great rank, and neglecting the Quran is a sin. The Prophet ﷺ, he didn't see a sin greater than a person given a verse and then he forgets. And there's a difference of opinion. Some say, does it mean that he doesn't believe in them or he didn't implement it? But there's no doubt that forgetting the Quran is a sin. Some consider it to be a major sin. But if the cause of forgetting is neglectfulness from this person, but by neglect we mean he doesn't care about reciting the Quran. He has no schedule, no routine. He has time. He has the capability. I won't believe anyone who says that I'm busy. I won't believe anyone who says I'm too busy. And don't believe yourself if you say that. Are you too busy to read one page a day? One juz? For a common person, for a common Arab person, one juz takes to 20, 25 to 30 minutes. 30 minutes is if you're reading like really slowly. There's some who can read it in 50 minutes. It's for people who are strong in recitation. Let's say it takes 20 to 30 minutes, half an hour, if you read very comfortably. Is it possible for a person to not give half an hour in his 24 hours? So whoever's been graced to have memorized the Quran or a chapter of the Quran, and when it says to forget the Quran, does not mean you memorize the whole Quran and you forget. No, it means whether you forgetting means that you memorized the Quran and forgot part of it, or you memorized a chapter of the Quran and you forgot some of it. So if the reason is neglectfulness, then you will be judged. But if the reason is because he is busy and he tries to schedule, but his memory is weak, his remembering is weak, and he revises and he recites. And obviously, when a person gets old, his memory is not as strong as when he is young. This person obviously is not. There's nothing reprehensible about this person. But if the reason for forgetting is neglectfulness and not caring about it, then this person will be judged.
الأخ محمد: وعليكم السلام، جزاك الله خير. هذه الأخت تقول: دعواتكم لزوج خالتي أبو منهل يعمل الآن لعملية في الدماغ. اللهم إنا نسألك أن تمن على أخينا أبو منهل بالعفو والعافية. اللهم إنه بين يديك يد الله فوق أيديهم. اللهم إنه سلم نفسه في ظاهره ليد الأطباء، ولكن في الحقيقة يدك فوق أيديهم. فنسألك اللهم أن تلطف به وأن تعالجه وأن تشفيه وأن تلطف به وأن تعيده سالما غانما إلى أهله وأولاد يدرته معافا طيبا مشفيا
آمين.
بإذنك وكرمك وجودك، وجميع مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين، يا كافي يا شافي، اشفه وكافه من البلاء والسوء، آمين.
Habib made dua for a brother
هذا يسأل،
whose
وعليكم السلام
uncle
ورحمة الله
is
وبركاته،
having a surgery, brain
وجزاكم
surgery.
الله خير. ما ينبغي ماذا ينبغي أن يفعل الشخص لما يكون معه وساوس نسبة إلى صحة الأحاديث ما دام لم يطلع الشخص إلى كل الرواة وجود إسماعيل.
What does a person do if he has doubts about authenticity of verse of hadith, if he's not aware of the narration, the chain of narrations? These whispers are from shaitan. They want you to have doubt in the deen, and you should not turn towards these thoughts, because Islam and hadith have come to us. It's not something new. The hadith that we recite now, they're connected through a chain of transmissions. As long as that there's a connected chain, and nations and generations took, so there's no doubt. There's no place for doubt, especially if it's known who these people are. And there's no condition that I should know them personally. So if it says so and so narrated, so and so narrated, so and so narrated, I don't know these people. I didn't live with them. I didn't see them. But the people who saw them knew them, and they knew the people who they took from. So these are considered trustworthy. They narrated to us from the Prophet ﷺ. So this narrator, if it's confirmed his truthfulness and is just, then his hadith is considered sahih and authentic. Also, what happens is confirming the correctness, authenticity of this hadith, and the aim of shaitan is to put doubts in this knowledge. And there are people who are just sitting in their state, and they're asking Google and they're asking AI, and they're getting wrong. They're asking questions and they're getting wrong answers. Like Habib today asked AI a question, and it gave it a completely wrong answer. Like he used one word, and that completely made the answer wrong. And Habib told AI that the answer is wrong, and then he admitted I was wrong. Now this ChatGPT, what people are talking about a lot, it has mistakes. A person should not depend on these. There's a lot to talk about this. So if you have a lot of whispers, then you should go to the ulama, the people of Sanad, to confirm to you the correctness of this hadith, who have received this narration. These men, the people of Allah, not like somebody just sitting idle, delinquent. Like Imam Nawawi or Imam Bukhari, he said whatever hadith he narrated, or Imam Bukhari said that whatever hadith he narrated, he made wudu, he prayed istikhara, and then he narrated the hadith.
اللهم ألطف به، اللهم ورده إلى أهله وأولاده سليما معافا يا رب العالمين. بسم الله الكافي الشافي، يا كافي يا شافي، اشفي أخينا سعيد وكل مريض يا رب، شفاء لا يغادر سقما ولا ألما، بسر أسهل الفاتح إلى حضرة النبي
اللهم صل وسلم.
صلى الله عليه
فاتحة.
وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك، نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت، نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم.